Okie dokie, welcome back to Sense No Day Ground podcast. My name is MCHAYMAKER, MC Haymaker right here. Yes, and today today we are delving into history to talk about the 7 most notorious serial killers in history, okay? 7 of them, the most notorious ever. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be spooky. We are going back in time to delve into, the history behind or the history of the 7 most notorious criminals. Yes, they are criminals, but they are serial killers, the special kind of criminals that you can have. All right, they are something different altogether. All right, so let's start with number 7. Number 7, we call him Jack the Ripper. Now, Jack the Ripper, till date, nobody knows his identity. That is Jack the Ripper for you. Came up in the year 1888 in London, Whitechapel district, where he killed 15 women, all prostitutes, and mutilated them. Where police believe that he is somebody who is killed with scalpel, or maybe he has a medical background, or he's an artist or something like that, because he seemed to have done the thing to precision, the mutilation. All right, that was what he was doing. The worst part about Jack the Ripper is that he taunted the community and the police as well. And this is what he did. He sends letters to the police and the community outlining the act. Okay, so he gets victim A and then sends a letter to the community. This is how I did it for victim A. Until date, nobody really knows who Jack is. That is our number 7. Now, so number 6 on our list is the one we call Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey started in the year 1978 when he was just 17 years old. That is Jeffrey. All right. And he did this for quite a while until he was arrested in 1991. And all his victims, 17 of them, were young men who were colored, or those that you call black. Previously, they were called colored people. Oh, yes, that's us. All right, so he killed them, 17 of them. That is Jeffrey Dahmer. And he was arrested because somebody who was meant to be a victim escaped and led the police back to his place. Jeffrey was arrested, taken to prison, where he was killed by a fellow inmate. That was in the year 1994. That was when Jeffrey was also killed. Too bad for him. But I think it's a worthy end for somebody who went about killing people. Now, and number 5 on the list is the man called Harold Shipman. Right now, Harold Shipman was nicknamed Dr. Death. Dr. Death because he was able to kill about 250 patients. All right, and he operated within the Greater Manchester in England. 250. He was suspected by many, but they couldn't really pin him down, including the undertaker of the hospital he was working in, okay, because most of the final documents for the patient were signed off by this man, this Dr. Death, this Harold Shipman. All right, but they couldn't really pin him down until one patient, okay, who Dr. Shipman managed to do his thing to, had his will, altered. All right, Shipman faked the will of this patient and put his name in it as a beneficiary in the will. But that got the daughter of the patient suspicious. Okay, the lady became suspicious and reported. It was then that Harold was arrested. And how can you see 250 patients? All right, 250 human beings were killed by this doctor. All right, that is him. All right, finally he was arrested in the year 2000, and he ended up committing suicide. He committed suicide in the year 2004. All right, now let's go on to number 4 on our list. And number 4 on our list is the man called John Wayne Gacy. Now, John was a special case. He was a construction worker, but he also loved politics. He was in politics. He also loved acting as well. So he acted as as a clown at birthday parties. All right. He was first suspected when a 15-year-old boy that he was last seen with went missing. All right. Later, during investigation here and there, it was later discovered when he was arrested that he had hidden 30 bodies under his home. 30 bodies, 30 of them under his home. Okay. Also arrested and died by lethal injection in the year 1994. That is John Wayne Gacy. Now let's move on to number 3 on our list. I've talked about number 5, just as Dr. Shipman. I've talked about number 4, that is John Wayne Gacy. And now let's talk about number 3 on our list. And number 3 on our list is HHolmes. HHolmes, who was a pharmacist. Now his case is different because he loved to be in Chicago. Okay, not different because he was in Chicago, but different because he was very bold to fit up, or to jerk up, or to put booby traps in a hotel. Okay, a lot of them in a hotel, where he redesigned some part of the hotel, actually. And that was in the year 1893. So way back then, he was doing those things. He fitted something like a sound party. He fitted that. Okay, so when you walk, nobody gets to hear you there. He fitted gas lines there. He fitted a whole lot of other things in the hotel. So what he does is that he knocks you out with the gas, or you pass by, you inhale the gas, you are out. He takes you to his corner, surgery table or medical table, and that's what he wants to do with you there. Once he's done with you, he doesn't end there. He was selling human skeleton to medical schools during those times. Human skeleton to medical schools. And after that, he was still running insurance scam on top of it. Just on the businessman. He has opened branches. I kill you, I sell your skeleton, I also ran insurance scam. He was only arrested when a fellow scammer reported him to the police for defaulting payment. Sense. So if not because of this person, when a scammer is scammed, there is trouble. Yes. So this scammer was scammed for payment and he went to report. That was the only time HHolmes was arrested, and he was hanged in the year 1896. That was Holmes. So Holmes was hanged. And if you realize, the end of these serial killers are always not nice. They always die horrible death, and that is number 3. Let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is known as the monster of the Andes. Lopez. Pedro Lopez is his name. He operated in Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. Killed about 300 human beings. 300 of them. See, most of these murders were known to be tribal women, or he killed people who were known to be tribal women. And during the investigation, it was also found out that about 50 of them, 50 of those people that he killed, they were preteen women or preteen girls. That is, women before teenage. He killed them. All right. Somewhere in the year 1980, Pedro was arrested. Yes. But after his arrest, it was found out that he had about 240 murders in Ecuador, and then Colombia. He had about 124 somewhere in Peru. It was also found out that he did some raping and torturing here and there. So that was about say 33 counts, or plenty things slammed on him. But Pedro is out and free because he didn't even spend as much as 20 years in prison. Pedro came out on account of good behavior. This is where it gets interesting. Good behavior for somebody who has murdered 300 people after less than 20 years in prison. After he came out of prison, he is nowhere to be found. Whether he went to live a quiet life somewhere, or whether he went to continue what he was doing, but Pedro was off the chart. The monster of the Andes, 300 human beings, all gone. Now let's move on to number 1, numero uno, on our list. And he is by the name Ted Bundy. Ted operated in the USA, somewhere around Washington, somewhere around Utah, somewhere around Oregon. That was where he operated. He did a lot of things there. All right, till now it is unknown the number of people he killed. That is Ted Bundy. When he was arrested, apparently, as in finally arrested, he decided to be his own lawyer. He was his own lawyer, defended himself in the court, granted interviews. He really loved attention. He was a media person, or he was a poster boy of his own case. By the end of the day, he was also killed, or he was arrested and given the letter chair. That was in the year 1989. Ted Bundy was off. All right. So if you love these stories, make sure you subscribe. If there is more in the box. All right. My name is MC Haymaker. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell by it, and be the first to know when the new episode is out. This is episode 6. More on the way for you. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, everywhere. We are there for you, okay? Just search Sense No The Ground Podcast on Google and you are going to get us there. That is it. 7 most notorious serial killers in history. There you have it.